What is going on, IE Sports Radio fans? It's your boy, the SoCal Saint, back at it again with an all-new edition with a fresh coat of paint, an all-new name. I have dropped the Elite out of the wrestling show. We're keeping it simple here. It is your boy, the SoCal Saint, the host of the IE Wrestling Show. That's the IE Wrestling Show, your direct feed for all that is professional wrestling on the only network that is your direct feed for all that is sports, IE Sports Radio, brought to you once again by our awesome, delicious sponsor, Planet Jerky. You can go to planetjerky.net, follow them on Instagram and on X, and order yourself some delicious premium brisket beef jerky. Planet Jerky. This jerky's on a whole other planet. Ooh, yeah! I added that little Macho Man taste into that. You know, keeping it real with the theme of professional wrestling here on this show. You can follow me on the X at my new Twitter handle. Oh, damn it. See, I screwed up already. On my new X handle, IE Wrestling Show. That's at IE Wrestling Show. And you can follow IE Sports Radio, of course, at IE Sports Radio. Let me take a sip of water here. And then please check out our multiple platform shows, which we follow volleyball, basketball, football, college football, professional racing, all sorts of things. If you are a just diehard sports fan, I promise you we have a show for you. And if you want to check out some of our back catalogs, check us out on all podcasting platforms: Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Spreaker. If you're listening live, thank you. Check us out at iesportsradio.com and get to know us a little bit better. We have little pages for each of our and little bios for each of the hosts on our network, and you can actually sign up for free and do some blogging, interact with us, check out our shop, you know, throw some shekels our way, purchase some merch, you know, all that good stuff. We got a lot to talk about today, guys. It is another awesome day. Finally, the heat wave seems behind us here in Fort Worth, Texas, where I reside. We were in the triple digits for pretty much all summer long. It was hell, honestly, and it's finally seems to finally broken down. It is a very beautiful sunny day with not a lot of heat attached to it here today on this beautiful Tuesday morning. If you're on the Pacific side of the United States, it's the afternoon. If you're here in the Central or the East Coast, I welcome you to this episode. So I got my boy Larry B in the chat room, the head honcho of IE Sports Radio. Thank you, and shout out to Larry B for the awesome new banner that I have for this show. Me and him were going back and forth, saying it looked like a 90s grunge album cover, and it surely does. You know, I don't want to toot my own horn, but I think Larry hooked me up with the best banner of IE Sports Radio. That's a shoot. That's probably going to upset some people, but hey, what are you going to do? You got to be a little cocky in the world of professional wrestling. Am I right, or am I right? You got to be your own biggest fan. That's how I got to look at it. So this is actually, I want to say this counts as wrestling news because of who is involved. Thank you, Larry. And Larry's I wonder if Larry's even heard this. Larry, of course, the head honcho. Larry B is of course, the host of 3 and Out, the premier football podcast in the world today, especially the premier football podcast on the IE Sports Radio Network. You'll hear a drop for that later. But I wonder if Larry's even heard about this news here, but I'm going to share this today because of who's involved. This comes from, credit goes to PWP Nation, which is a wrestling news letter that I subscribe to on Facebook, actually. This was reported by PWP Nation. The Rock and the XFL, The Rock's XFL, of course. The Rock is the owner of the XFL, has been in discussions with the USFL, nearing an agreement that will merge operations into one off-season athlete feeder system to the NFL. That's right. So instead of two off-season instead of two off-season football leagues, we're going to narrow it down to one now. The Rock's XFL and the USFL are nearing an agreement to merge operations per Axios. That was from where the newsletter came from. An announcement of the deal could come as early as this week. This news was reported just a couple days ago. The idea would create one football league to be an alternative to the NFL during the offseason and act as an athlete feeder system directly to the NFL. And I see Larry is loving that news. Hopefully he can talk more about it on 3 and Out. I'll see if I can find some more information for that and shoot it his way, because that would definitely be the show where you would want to listen and hear a more in-depth analysis of that story. But that's really cool to see. The Rock, of course, came back to the WWE a couple weeks ago on Friday Night SmackDown, and then this news followed after that. And we got some more Rock news, apparently. We'll touch on that later, but that's an awesome idea. I really think less is more, honestly. And with the XFL and the USFL, instead of them going at it together, it makes more sense for them to just come together and make one larger feeder system to the bigger NFL. And it's like, I look at it like how WWE has it with their own performance center, the NXT brand. That's all together. You get hired by the WWE under a developmental deal. You train at the performance center. You make your debut, and you earn your stripes in NXT before you get called up to the main roster, either to compete on Raw or SmackDown. And so I feel like the NFL needs something similar, where they have their own feeder system, which would be this new combination. I don't know what name they would even go under, as the XFL and the USFL near an agreement to combine operations. So that's pretty cool to hear. I touched base on this a little bit last week when we had a story about Booker T and the son of WWE legend Umaga, Zilla Fatu. They went their separate ways. Zilla Fatu made his debut with the Reality of Wrestling, which is Booker T's wrestling school / actual little wrestling company that he has out of Houston. A lot of WWE's current and former superstars have actually come from Booker T's school. The Usos were trained there. Roxanne Perez down in NXT was trained there. AEW's Ring of Honor's current women's champion, Athena, was trained there as well. And the son of Umaga, that's where he was trained. And Booker T didn't want to go into details. He stated that they just had a disagreement on how his career would go, and they decided to part ways. Now, Zilla Fatu was able to actually sit down and discuss it on his terms recently with the podcast Apples and Grapes Media. He was recently interviewed, and he stated that he parted ways because of his vision for his future was completely different from Booker T's ideas. And this is a quote from Zilla Fatu stating, "It's all love, it's all respect. I still want to see Booker T and his school thrive. For me, it was just my vision was different. Me and Book, we already had a conversation, and some things can't work. My vision and his vision, what he had lined up, it just didn't connect. We parted ways respectfully. We're still on good terms." And that was the gist of the explanation coming from the other side of the story, which was Umaga's son, the newest professional wrestler on the indie scene, Zilla Fatu. So hopefully we will see Zilla Fatu continue his career in the world of professional wrestling. Maybe he might show up in MLW with his other cousins, Jacob Fatu and the Samoan SWAT team. Maybe he may show up in NXT. Who knows? We shall see. That would be a little awkward to see him show up in NXT, though, with Booker T being the commentator for NXT down there currently. But, I mean, if he says they're on good terms, they're on good terms, so we shall see. So, this was excuse me, get another sip of this ice-cold water. This news actually sets up with the Rock news that I have for you guys. This was breaking news 5 days ago. This is the second stop on the road to WrestleMania. We have the Royal Rumble, of course, is coming to you from the Tropicana Fieldhouse Stadium in Florida in January 27th. Now, this has been announced for Saturday, February 24th, 2024. the Elimination Chamber. That's right, the Elimination Chamber pay-per-view, which is the last stop on the road to WrestleMania, will be taking place live in Perth, Australia. That's right, we're going down under for the WWE's second stop on the road to WrestleMania at the Perth's Optus Stadium. Australia will be the site of the Elimination Chamber. And apparently, there has been some rumors that The Rock, take this with a grain of salt, Dwayne Johnson, The Rock himself, the man, the myth, the legend, the most electrifying man in sports and entertainment, will be competing at Elimination Chamber to set up a potential match that a lot of people thought should have happened at this past year's WrestleMania, may very well be taking place at the 40th WrestleMania in Philly. The Rock versus Roman Reigns. That is the rumor going around the internet wrestling community right now, is that The Rock will be showing up and competing at the Elimination Chamber in Perth, Australia, to set up for the big tribal chief match between The Rock and Roman. Cousins going one-on-one with each other. Who is truly the head of the table? The story seems to write itself, but we shall see if that's the direction they want to go in. I know this will be the first WrestleMania ever to be done under the TKO banner. This will be the first WrestleMania not under the complete control of a McMahon. So they want to put it all on the line. They want to make sure that this WrestleMania is one of the most, if not the most successful in its history. And speaking of the McMahon TKO situation, this has come out actually after the news of the Perth Elimination Chamber announcement. Vince McMahon's ongoing investigation could result in him facing various charges and force him to step down as chairman of the WWE. The Los Angeles Times offered an update on Vince McMahon's ongoing investigation this past Wednesday. In the wake of numerous sexual misconduct allegations and the news that McMahon had paid nearly $15 million to keep various accusations quiet since the mid-2000s, McMahon declared that he was retiring from the WWE in July of 2022, which I already discussed many months ago. However, by the end of the year, McMahon had already approached WWE's board of directors about being reinstated as executive chairman. When the board tried to decline his demands, McMahon threatened to use his voting power to shut down any attempts at a sale or any other future media deals. The board responded by agreeing to his demands and welcomed him back into the company in early January. The news of McMahon's return resulted in board members Ignance Lahoud and Manjeet Singh's resignations. Stephanie McMahon, who stepped in as chairwoman and co-CEO following her father's retirement, also left the company days later. He's the kind of person who expects loyalty, said someone close to one of the ousted directors, adding that McMahon viewed its investigation as an act of disloyalty, even though the board was doing its job, said the LA Times' Stacey Perman. She also managed to get Lahoud on the record, who noted that McMahon's return was judicious? Wow, I can't even say that. Judicious. Excuse me. Wow, I can't even talk. It wasn't aligned with the way of seeing what governance is. There was a misalignment with what my values are. WWE confirmed during its latest quarterly investors report that McMahon had been issued a federal grand jury subpoena and was subject to a search warrant in July. McMahon quickly released a statement claiming he was confident the investigation would find no wrongdoing. Perman's report concluded with with an update of the investigation, noting that its scope remains unclear, before quoting attorney Jacob Frankel, chair of Dickinson Wright's Government Investigations and Securities Enforcement Practice Group. The inquiry could be much broader than the one company and its one majority shareholder. Depending on the potential findings, McMahon could face criminal and or civil liabilities that could prevent him from serving as an officer or director of a public company, as well as clawback of any ill-gotten gains. McMahon was present for an employee meeting at WWE headquarters in Stamford, Connecticut on Tuesday, alongside Endeavor CEO Ari Emanuel, to address the last week's merger of WWE and the UFC into TKO Group, 51% of which will be owned by Endeavor. According to Fightful's Sean Ross Sapp, McMahon claimed WWE's product had grown stagnant prior to the merger, which was reportedly met with skepticism and as well as numerous eye rolls, because apparently McMahon wasn't paying attention to the product that we were paying attention to. The WWE was seeing so much success, and this is from an outsider looking in, as me being just a fan. When McMahon retired in July, I thought the WWE was doing its best work to date. They were hitting record numbers in television ratings. They were hitting record numbers in ticket sales, both live events and television and premium live events all combined. Merchandise sales had never been higher. The Bloodline storyline was one of the biggest storylines of the wrestling world to that date. They were hitting huge numbers on social media. So I think what the BS that McMahon was spewing to his to his employees about the WWE being stagnant, in his mind, if he wasn't a part of the success, the company was stagnant, because Vince McMahon's ego is so freaking huge, he just can't see to the fact that WWE would be successful without him involved in any way, shape, or form. So he just couldn't handle that. His sad, small little ego couldn't tolerate the fact that his son-in-law and his daughter were hitting record numbers and becoming a success without his involvement whatsoever. That's my opinion. That's what I feel is what he meant by that. And a lot of people it was met with just a lot of eye rolls, because they knew better, because they were there. They've been there since he quote unquote retired. You know what I mean? These employees were there through this, short-term transition that occurred, which saw these huge numbers take place for WWE, both in revenue and in ratings. So I don't know what the hell Vince was talking about. The company was not stagnant. He wanted to get in, get out, sell his company, and just be like, "Yep, that was all me." Whatever. So it's not looking good, though, because if this comes back to bite him in the ass, which it still can, he could be outed. I mean, like, Vince has a seat on the board, but it very well could last very, very short term, because either he's going to have to step down himself, or they're going to be like, "All right, Vince, deuces, you're out of here. Get out of here. Bye. See ya. You're out of here. You're more trouble than you're worth." So I'll keep y'all posted on that. That's a big story still. Another big news for the WWE is now they have finalized new television rights for Friday Night SmackDown, and SmackDown will be moving networks once again. Starting in October 2024, the WWE, part of TKO Group Holdings, Inc., and NBC Universal have agreed to a 5-year domestic media rights partnership that will bring Friday Night SmackDown back to the USA Network beginning October 2024. Additionally, beginning in the 2024-25 season, WWE will produce 4 primetime specials per year that will air live on NBC, marking the first time WWE will air on the network in prime time. SmackDown will come exclusively to NBCU as one of television's longest-running programs, regularly rating as the #1 show in the 18 to 49 age demographic on Friday nights, and featuring many WWE superstars including John Cena, Roman Reigns, Bianca Belair, Charlotte Flair, and Rey Mysterio. NBC Universal has been a tremendous partner of WWE for decades, said WWE President Nick Khan. We are excited to extend this long-standing relationship by bringing SmackDown to USA Network on Friday nights and look forward to debuting multiple WWE special events annually on NBC. So there you have it, guys. Come next October, Fox will no longer be the home for Friday Night SmackDown, and SmackDown will be headed to the USA Network, which is currently the home for WWE Raw and NXT. So will all three shows be on the same network? Quite possibly, unless there's a television rights battle for Monday Night Raw and NXT. I'll keep you posted on that. Let's see here. I'm looking for more news here. I don't want it to be just all WWE news. But, yes, here we go. Let's get into some Impact news. So, Impact, per PW Insider, Impact Wrestling is going to be losing 3 premier wrestlers on their roster. So, PW Insider reports that Sami Callihan, former Impact Wrestling World Champion, is reported to be leaving Impact Wrestling when his contract expires this Saturday, September 30th, as both sides cannot agree on a new deal. As of now, there are interests from other companies for not just as in-ring talent, but for producer agent roles. Callihan has been with Impact since 2017. Pat Laprade, I hope I'm saying his name right, Pat Laprade, better known as PCO, has given his notice to Impact Wrestling, and he will be leaving the company when his contract expires on October 30th next month. Fightful and Sean Ross Sapp report that former Impact Wrestling Women's World Champion, Impact Wrestling Knockouts World Champion, Deonna Purrazzo's contract with Impact ends in early 2024, and she has still not opted to renew a contract with Impact Wrestling. So that's 3 premier athletes for Impact Wrestling that are going to be leaving. Sami Callihan's already finished up. His last day with Impact is this coming Saturday. PCO follows suit next month, a month from Saturday, on the 30th of October. And Deonna Purrazzo will be done in early 2024. Who will be entertaining these athletes for their services? I honestly don't see WWE entertaining PCO, especially due to his age. I see PCO possibly falling with possibly MLW or the NWA, maybe even heading over to Japan, possibly. Sami Callihan, I feel like Impact. I feel like his best work was already done at Impact. I really don't think he has much else to do there. So it would behoove him to go somewhere else and ply his trade somewhere else. Possibly also an MLW, NWA, maybe. I don't know how he is thinking. I don't know. Sami Callihan, I feel like he's still fairly young. He's just in his mid to late 30s. So I think he could be a good roster member. I really don't want to say it, but I guess AEW. But I feel like he would just get lost in the shuffle there. Same with Deonna Purrazzo. I don't want to see her to go back to I don't want to see not to go back. I don't want to see her go to AEW because I feel like their women's division is just, the shits right now. It's really not very well booked, and I don't think she would get the kind of push that she deserves. So, she could try her hand in going back to the WWE once again, maybe, but we'll see. I'll keep y'all posted on where these 3 talents end up. And speaking of Impact, of course, their biggest show of the year, which is their traditional big show, which is like, the best way to compare it would be like this is their WrestleMania. It will be coming to you live. Arena finally, but the Wrestling Bound Glory is a big event. This is like I had a lot of big events. One of the big Bound Glory events, of course, was the pay-per-view with the company. He was the guest ring enforcer for the main event match for the NWA World Championship between Jeff Jarrett and the Icon Sting, and where Kurt Angle ended up involved. all the way to 2006. The LAX, Homicide, and Hernandez became the NWA World Tag Team Champions that night, and an awesome Six Sides of Steel match with AJ Styles and Christopher Daniels. So, I mean, there's a lot of big moments that have come out of Impact's Bound for Glory. And it will be live on pay-per-view and on the Fight TV app as well. Bound for Glory, October 1st. And only two matches have announced so far. The championship, Alex Shelley does the match against the man, and New Japan Wrestling, the current IWGP United Kingdom champion, Will Ospreay, goes one-on-one with Speedball Mike Bailey. The two big main event matches already announced for Impact's Bound for Glory. So please check it out, guys. You can actually purchase tickets if you're looking to actually go to Bound for Glory in Chicago. Go to ImpactWrestling.com and check it out. I will give you guys more news about Impact's Bound for Glory when it gets to show date. I got a list. Let's track. Okay, so with WWE Elimination Chamber, it has been noted that the Undertaker, that's right, the dead man himself, returns with another one of his one-man shows. The One Dead Man Show, The Undertaker, will be live in Perth, Western Australia this February ahead of Elimination Chamber. Stay tuned for more details in the coming weeks. And you're ready for an exclusive opportunity if you go to WWE.com/AU 2024-presale. Once they have a date here, I will notate that for our fans in Australia that listen to the show. Yes, so not only will you get the awesome pay-per-view Elimination Chamber, you will get your chance to see The Undertaker in a more intimate setting with his One Dead Man show. So, two big story week. After about 100 employees were let go from their office jobs with the WWE after the merger, one of those employees, one of the bigger names that came out of that dismissal, was the wife of the WWE legend, the late Dana Warrior, was let go from her job at the WWE, which was, I believe, she was the head of community relations. I believe that's what it was. So I guess she won't be the one presenting the Warrior Award anymore at the Hall of Fame every WrestleMania weekend, unless they just bring her in for that special. We'll see that. But 100 people were lost by the WWE after the merger with UFC and the announcement of TKO, and then a lot of people started speculating if there was going to be some wrestler releases because this was just office employees. And yes, due to the Endeavor merger, WWE has begun releasing several wrestlers from their deals as of September 21st. Save on costs. WWE a few more names on September 22nd and on September 23rd, and these are the names that were released. And now, in no particular order: Dolph Ziggler, former World Heavyweight Champion Dolph Ziggler; Elias, former WWE Women's Tag Team Champion Aaliyah; Rick Boogs; Riddick Moss; Emma; Top Dollar from Hit Row; Shelton Benjamin. Dana Brooke. This one was really shocking because he was set to face Dominic Mysterio for the NXT North American title this coming Saturday at NXT No Mercy, but that match is no more because Mustafa Ali was let go by the WWE. Maximum Male Models Mansoor and Massey have been let go. Shanky has been let go. Daba Kato, formerly known as Commander Aziz, has been let go. Quincy Elliott, Bryson Montana, Yulissa Leone, Daniel MacArthur, Kevin Ventura Cortez, Alexis Gray, and Brooklyn Barlow, all from NXT, have been let go from their contracts. even looked at a new from WWE, a new hire straight out of college, and from the NXT brand, Abul Abadi Fitzgerald and Ikemen Jaro, and another big name, former WWE Tag Team Champion and former United States Champion Matt Riddle has been let go by the WWE. Crazy on a few weeks. I'm not sure because of all the trouble he had seemed to have been bringing upon him late. Matt Riddle, of course, was sent to rehab earlier this year due to a substance abuse problem. He got let go due to a substance abuse problem. Let's see here. Yeah, no, I didn't say he got let go due to substance abuse problems. He got let go. He had been sent to rehab because of it. And not only that, it just seemed like he was just a bigger problem than he was, of an asset. Especially after this last thing. I don't even think I touched base about it. But last week, I talked about... I didn't get a chance to talk about it because I didn't feel it was appropriate. But apparently he was accosted by an airport police officer, and Matt took a picture of him and put it on a later deleted tweet on X that he was assaulted by this police officer, and that led to him not being used the last couple of weeks on Monday Night Raw. And I definitely think that was the big, okay, we got to get rid of this guy moment. Apparently, one source within the WWE stated that he had blown through all of his second chances. So, Matt Riddle, one of the many names that was let go recently from the WWE. I look at it like this. I mean, you could either be sad and be down on the dumps and think, woe was me, or you can do what a lot of other superstars have done when they got released from the WWE and look at it as, this is the end of one moment in my career and the start of a new. Look at it like in the terms of Cody Rhodes, or look at the terms of the current indie wrestling god himself, Matt Cardona, a.k.a. formerly known as Zack Ryder, and his partner Stephanie Lander. There is life outside of WWE. I mean, there's always, AEW, but I mean, if that's not, that's not a guarantee that, fucking Tony Khan's going to go ahead and hire up every ex-WWE superstar that comes his way. So you got to look at it like, realistically, and just do your best and really put yourself out there. Bet on yourself. I say that to all the recently released talents. Bet on yourself, and I think you'll see success come your way. Because the indie scene right now is awesome. The indie scene right now in professional wrestling is actually really, really strong. You can make a living on the indies alone. I mean, hell, that's what Matt Cardona's been doing the last 2 years. He hasn't been a part of any major wrestling company since his short little stint with Impact and All Elite Wrestling. He's been making a living on the indie scene. And he's definitely one of the strongest talents out there currently. And this was actually released today. Breaking news from ESPN. The worst kept secret in wrestling at the moment. Jade Cargill, former AEW TBS champion, the nearly undefeated champion who only suffered 2 losses in her entire AEW career, has officially signed a multi-year contract with the WWE. It was reported on ESPN first before WWE made it live 3 hours ago on a posting on Facebook and all other social media platforms for WWE. Jade Cargill will report to the Performance Center, and Jade Cargill is now the newest signee to the WWE. So congrats to her. I feel that this will be best for her career. I think she could potentially be a really great talent. She has a fantastic look. She's very strong. She's beautiful. She's everything that I feel like the WWE needs in a female talent. She just needs that fine-tuning that I feel like she will receive from the Performance Center. So congrats. I already talked about this last week, but it's been made official, WWE official, with the announcement from ESPN and WWE. Jade Cargill signs a multi-year contract with the company. And that's it, really, for the wrestling news. I really got into a lot. So we're going to take a short little break, and we're going to get into the upcoming cards for AEW's next pay-per-view and the 2 new premium live events for the WWE. We'll be back, guys. Stay tuned.
What's going on, football fans? This is me, your boy Larry, inviting you to join myself, Colin Reynolds, Mike Pat, and John Felipe for one of the most electrifying football shows you have ever heard. 3 and Out, right here at IE Sports Radio. Recap of the week before, a preview of what's to come, and of course, 3 hardcore head-to-head prime-time face-offs each week. You don't want to miss it.
What's good, everyone? It's Drewski, the host of Heart of Texas Sports on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. On this station, we cover everything in the Dallas-Fort Worth, Texas area. From where we cover the Dallas Cowboys, the Dallas Stars, Dallas Mavericks, Dallas Wings, Texas Rangers, TCU, SMU, we cover it all right here every Wednesdays from 9 to 10 p.m. Central Time. Make sure you stay live with me on the Heart of Texas Sports on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
What is good, IE Sports Radio fans? It's your boy, the SoCal Saint, back at it again with that fresh coat of paint on the IE Wrestling Show, your direct feed for all that is professional wrestling, on the only network that is your direct feed for all that is sports, IE Sports Radio. Once again, brought to you by that delicious, juicy, tender brisket beef jerky, Planet Jerky. This jerky's on a whole other planet. Alright guys, we're back at it again. If you're just tuning in, I went over a lot of wrestling news involving the WWE's new contract with NBC Universal for SmackDown, coming to you live on USA Network starting next year in October. I even went into a little bit of football news at the very beginning with The Rock and his XFL league going to be pairing up with the USFL to become a direct farm system for the NFL, which is awesome news. Especially with the rumor going around that The Rock may potentially be competing at WWE's Elimination Chamber, which will be live in Perth, Australia, this coming February on the road to WrestleMania. But before we start talking about WrestleMania season, we still got a few months ahead before we get to WrestleMania season. We have a little bit of wrestling news coming your way. So actually, this coming Saturday It will be live on the Peacock app, Peacock streaming service. It's a premium live event for the NXT brand. It will be live in Bakersfield, California at the Mechanics Bank Arena. This Saturday it will be NXT No Mercy. NXT No Mercy will be live this Saturday, September 30th at the Mechanics Bank Arena. And these are the matches that follow. We will get an Extreme Rules match for the NXT Women's Championship. Becky Lynch, the current champion, will defend her title against the former champion, Tiffany Stratton. This is going to be a fantastic match. I'm really looking forward to this. Stratton and Lynch really pulled it together and had an awesome match whenever Lynch when Lynch won the championship from Stratton a few weeks ago on NXT. And I can't imagine what these two will do inside of an Extreme Rules setting, in a pay-per-view setting as well. So the gloves will come off. I feel like this is going to either make or break Tiffany Stratton and her potential to be a star on the main roster. I feel she deserves the push. I feel that she needs to get the victory. I have to go with Stratton for the victory on this one. I really hope that she can pull it out against Lynch and really show a different side of her, because she's really got this gimmick of being basically like a Barbie, a pretty girl. You know what I mean? She probably considers herself the most gorgeous girl on the women's roster today. So to see her take part in an Extreme Rules match is gonna give a new edge, a new side of her, show a more vicious side of her. And I feel like Becky Lynch is just the right superstar to bring that out. To bring that side out of Tiffany Stratton. So we shall see Saturday. Next up on the card will be a one-on-one match between the former NXT champion and the Lone Wolf. It'll be Braun Breaker going one-on-one with Baron Corbin. And we got the British Rounds rules match for the NXT Heritage Cup. Noam Dar defends the NXT Heritage Cup against the winner of tonight's main event match between Butch and Joe Coffey in an NXT Global Heritage Invitational Final. Joe Coffey qualified, defeating Duke Hudson, Nathan Frazier in a triple threat match last Tuesday, and Butch qualified for the match by defeating Tyler Bate in a one-on-one match. Butch, of course, is a part of SmackDown and a part of the Brawling Brutes, and Joe Coffey is a part of the stable Galus down in NXT. This should be an interesting match. I'm going to go with, I think it's going to end up being Noam Dar against Butch, because I really can't see them putting together a heel versus heel invitational match for the Heritage Cup with the Joe Coffey victory. I just don't see that happening. And in the main event for the NXT Championship, it will be Carmelo Hayes defending the NXT title against Ilya Dragunov. That should be a hell of a match. They put on a damn good match the last big pay-per-view that NXT had, and I feel like this is going to follow suit, maybe even be better than their last encounter. So I'm really looking forward to this Saturday big event with NXT No Mercy. I will keep you guys posted if there is another challenger to take the place of Mustafa Ali, who was recently released by the WWE, as he was originally scheduled to face Dirty Dominic Mysterio for the NXT North American title on this card, but is no longer. And the next big pay-per-view after No Mercy will actually take place on the very next night, on Sunday, on Sunday, October 1st, from the Climate Pledge Arena in Seattle, Washington. AEW Wrestle Dream will be coming to you live on October 1st. It is the event that will be a tribute show in honor of New Japan Pro Wrestling founder Antonio Inoki, as it will take place on the 1-year anniversary of his untimely passing. And this is the card. It's shaped up in the last. This is really one of my biggest criticisms for AEW, is that they tend to announce one or two matches, and then all of a sudden they just scramble fuck a bunch of matches together. They don't make any fucking sense. But here we go. The card of 9 matches. Literally, they only had 2 announced, and all of a sudden, no, 3. They had 3 announced, and all of a sudden, this past Wednesday, Friday, and Saturday, all these other matches were booked out of nowhere with no substance whatsoever. So this is the 9-match card unless they add a couple more because, you know, Tony Khan loves to overinflate his wrestling cards. But right now it's sitting at I would say a decent 9-match card for Wrestle Dream. It'll be a 4-way tag team match for a future AEW World Tag Team Championship match. The Young Bucks, Matt and Nick Jackson, 2/3 of the Ring of Honor 6-man tag team champions, taking on the Guns, Austin and Colton Gunn of Bullet Club Gold, the Lucha Brothers, Rey Fenix and Penta El Ciro Medio. Of course, Rey Fenix is still the current. More on that later. I'll get into that here in a moment. Well, you know, let me talk about it now. Rey Fenix is the new AEW All-Atlantic Champion after he won a match against Jon Moxley at Grand Slam Dynamite this past Wednesday. But it was not without controversy. If anybody wants to check it out, I suggest you try to find it on either X or on YouTube if it hasn't already been taken down by the king of the trolls himself, Tony Khan, that dipshit. I'm going off on a shoot now, so just buckle up, buckaroos. So Tony Khan, excuse me. So apparently Rey Fenix and Jon Moxley, during this match, Jon Moxley suffered a concussion at the very beginning of this match. At some point, I don't recall what spot it was, but apparently he was concussed very early on in the match. And what does their referee do? They let them continue. Jon Moxley was out of it throughout the entire match. And what does Rey Fenix do? Rey Fenix picks up Jon Moxley, and not once, but twice, decides to drop him directly on his head. Decides to do a pile driver, a sit-out pile driver to Jon Moxley, where Moxley lands right on the top of his head. I'm not kidding. If you look up the footage, if you can find the footage, look it up. Jon Moxley is dropped on his head, directly on the top of his head, twice. No protection whatsoever. No sense of, we have to take care of him. No try to, get this over and done with quickly. They dropped him on his fucking head when he was already fucking concussed. What is going on? What is going on in that company, guys? Dangerous shit. You don't do that. If a guy was concussed in a WWE match, they would stop the match. They have before. You don't keep it going. Not nowadays. Not what we know about CTE and its effect on people later in life. And then one of the awesome, most popular, X accounts out there that I followed, AEW Botches. Shout out to him. I don't know him by name, but shout out to him and his family, because God forbid anybody criticize the all-powerful, high and mighty Tony Khan and the AEW roster, because the minute that he put this out, his Twitter account was taken down due to copyright claims, but from one of these AEW stans, one of these AEW mouth breathers. And not only that, he was able to come back with a new Twitter account called Wednesday Night Botches, but he was going to be discontinuing that because the psycho AEW fans, that's the only way I could put it, psycho, whatever psycho it was, apparently hit up the guy who runs AEW Botches / Wednesday Night Botches and sent him an email with his address, his kid's school address, a picture of his family with the subject line, "Stop criticizing AEW." What the fuck, people? What the absolute fuck are we doing? We're threatening to harm people and their family because they criticize your favorite wrestling company? What in the absolute fuck is wrong with you? What is wrong with people? So now, the guy who runs AEW Botches has decided to discontinue what he's doing in fear for his safety and his family's safety. That is just absolutely insane. If he was smart, he would report this to his local police so they can try and find this idiot who is threatening to harm his family and himself. Just because he criticizes a wrestling company. And you know what? he has a point. The criticism has always been about the unsafe, untrained athletes in this company doing a lot of stupid, unnecessary shit. And I've been saying that for a long time. They do a lot of stupid shit that gets people hurt. Of which was this past Wednesday, Jon Moxley continuing a match, concussed, and then dropped on his head while concussed 2 more times. How stupid and asinine is that? But no, nobody can talk about that. Well, I say, fuck you, man. I'm being so vulgar right now. I apologize. For anybody listening, I apologize. That's why I put a warning on my show whenever you're listening. I do apologize. But it's just it just boggles my mind that AEW fans have become this cultish, this tribalist with their company to the point where they are threatening people's family. That is asinine. And you got that jack off of an owner, Tony Khan, just sitting there like an idiot and not saying a damn word because he himself can't handle any criticism whatsoever. People who are socially inept shouldn't run multi-million-dollar companies. And that's my 2 cents. Okay. Oh, and the other 2 guys in that tag team match are Orange Cassidy and Hook. I went off on a tangent. Let's move on. AEW TBS Championship will be decided between Chris Statlander defending the title against Julie Hart in a one-on-one match. A singles match for both the Ring of Honor World Championship and Strong Openweight Championship. Eddie Kingston defends the championship, both championships, against his one of his hero legends from Japan, Katsuyori Shibata. A 2 out of 3 falls match for the AEW TNT title will be decided when Christian Cage defends against Darby Allin. In a 6-man tag team match, we will get Chris Jericho and the Golden Lovers, Kenny Omega and Kota Ibushi, to take on the Don Callis family of Konosuke Takeshita, Sammy Guevara, and Will Ospreay. For the Ring of Honor World Tag Team titles, the AEW World Champion and one half of the Ring of Honor World Tag Team Champions, MJF, teaming with the other half of the Ring of Honor World Tag Team Champions, Adam Cole, Bebe, Better Than You, Bebe, defend their tag team titles against the Righteous, Vincent and Dutch. For the AEW World Tag Team Championships, FTR, Wheeler and Dax Hardwood defend the tag team titles against Aussie Open, Kyle Fletcher and Mark Davis. Hangman Adam Page goes one-on-one with Swerve Strickland. And in the main event, Bryan Danielson goes one-on-one in a dream match against Zack Sabre Jr. And then WWE will be back on the premium streaming service of Peacock with Fastlane, which will be coming to you live next Saturday, October 7th, from Indianapolis, Indiana, at the Gainbridge Fieldhouse Arena. And the 2 matches have already been announced for the World Heavyweight Championship, a last man standing match. Seth freaking Rollins defends the World Heavyweight Championship against Shinsuke Nakamura. And then it was supposed to be a tag team match, but now his partner is indisposed to the point where now it will be a 2-on-1 handicap match. The Bloodline, Jimmy Uso and Solo Sikoa take on John Cena. But the rumor mill going around is that John Cena will indeed have a partner, and that man will be L.A. Knight. Yeah! The only reason why L.A. Knight didn't show up last Friday night on SmackDown was due to L.A. Knight testing positive for COVID, and he had to leave the arena and convalesce at home, but hopefully he is past the nasty symptoms from that, and he should make his return this coming Friday on SmackDown, but more on that later. Alright, guys. Well, that's it. I know I'm closing it off here, but I hope you enjoyed this awesome... I enjoyed it. I enjoyed doing the show for you, so I hope you enjoyed the awesome new edition of the IE Wrestling Show. I'm your boy, the SoCal Saint. Please follow me on the X at IE Wrestling Show. That's at IE Wrestling Show. Follow at IE Sports Radio, the hub for all of our shows. Please check out our website, iesportsradio.com. do yourself a favor and check out planetjerky.net and order yourself some delicious frickin' jerky. I will see you guys next time for an all-new edition of the IE Elite Wrestling Show. I'm your boy, the SoCal Saint. I'll see you guys next time. Peace.